welcome to my channel. Without further ado, let's jump right into it. I've been on a lot of trips, but man, this one still haunts me. It was supposed to be a fun getaway, just me and my 3 friends, hitting the open road in the RV. I was the one driving, as usual. I love driving, especially when we had a long stretch of road ahead. So, there we were, cruising along this deserted road. We had been driving for hours, laughing, joking, the usual stuff. The sun was starting to go down. It was nice at first, but the more we drove, the more isolated it started to feel. No other cars, no houses, just this long, empty road surrounded by fields and trees far off in the distance. I remember turning to the guys, cracking a joke about how this was the kind of road you'd see in a horror movie. They laughed, but I could tell they felt the same weird vibe I was feeling. You know, when it's too quiet, like even the sound of the RV rolling on the pavement started feeling strangely creepy. And then it happened. Out of nowhere, this woman just appears in the middle of the road. I'm not talking about seeing her from a distance and having time to react. No. One second the road was clear, and the next, she was just there, like she popped out of thin air. I barely had time to react. I swerved hard to the left, tires screeching, but I still felt the impact. It was like this thud, and the RV shook a little. I'm telling you, we hit her. We definitely hit her. My heart was racing, and I slammed on the brakes. The whole RV jerked, and everything went silent for a second. You know that feeling when everyone's just trying to process what just happened? Yeah, it was like that. "What the hell, man?" Jur shouted from the back. He was always the loud one, and I knew he was freaked out just as much as I was. "I think we hit someone," I said, my voice shaky. I was trying to stay calm, but honestly, I was freaking out. We all scrambled out of the RV to check. I could feel my pulse pounding in my ears as I ran to the front of the vehicle. But here's the thing. There was no one. No woman. Nothing. Just the road stretching out in front of us, and the empty fields on either side. I even checked under the RV thinking maybe she was there, but nope. It was like she had just vanished. "I swear we hit her," I said, feeling like I was losing it. The others were pacing around, checking the area, but we found nothing. No blood, no signs of anything. But we all knew what we saw. She was right there. "Maybe she ran off," Tommy suggested, though his voice didn't sound convinced. It didn't make sense. She was just gone. We were all rattled, but after searching for a bit, we figured maybe she had run into the fields or something. I don't know, it didn't make sense, but we didn't have any other explanation. I wasn't about to leave the scene of an accident without knowing for sure, but after a while it felt like we were chasing shadows. So we got back in the RV and decided to keep going. We had a camping spot picked out not too far from there, and honestly, we just wanted to get there and figure it out later. The drive to the campsite was weird. No one was really talking, and the whole time I was staring at the road, half expecting her to pop up again. The sun had almost completely set by then, and the road was even more deserted than before, and everything felt heavy. I don't know how else to explain it, but you could feel the air change, like something was just off. We finally got to our spot, and it was this little clearing near the woods. Normally, we'd be all excited, setting up a fire, getting ready to chill for the night. But the whole vibe was different now. We parked the RV, and I turned off the engine. The silence hit us again, and it was unsettling. We were just about to get out and stretch our legs when we heard it, the high-pitched sound. At first it was faint, like it was coming from far away, but it was getting louder. It was this weird, piercing noise that made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. It was like a scream, but not quite. It was more unnatural, almost mechanical, but not really. I know that doesn't make much sense, but that's what it felt like. None of us could figure out where it was coming from. It seemed to echo from every direction, like it was circling us. "What the hell is that?" Sang asked, his voice trembling. He was always the calm one in our group, so hearing him scared like that just made it worse. We got out of the RV, looking around, trying to pinpoint the source of the sound, but no matter which way we turned, it just felt like it was coming from somewhere else. It was getting louder, too, almost unbearable. And then, just like that, it stopped. Silence again. "Okay, what the hell is going on?" Jur said, pacing around, clearly spooked. I didn't have an answer. None of us did. We tried to laugh it off, telling ourselves it was probably just some weird animal or something. But deep down, we all knew something wasn't right. The rest of the night was tense. We built a fire and sat around it, but nobody was in the mood to talk much. Every little noise from the woods had us on edge. It felt like the darkness was closing in on us, and I kept having the feeling that we were being watched. Around midnight, just when we were starting to relax a little, that sound came back. This time it was louder, much louder. It felt like it was right on top of us. The fire flickered, casting weird shadows, and I swear I saw something moving out in the trees, something tall, like a figure just standing there, watching us. "I see it," Tommy shouted, pointing towards the woods. "There, do you see it?" We all turned, trying to spot what he was seeing. At first, I didn't see anything, but then my eyes adjusted, and there it was, a shadowy figure, just barely visible between the trees. It wasn't moving, just standing there, staring at us. Or at least, that's what it felt like. "Who's out there?" Jur shouted into the darkness. No response, just the rustling of the trees and that damn high-pitched sound getting louder. Then, all at once, the figure moved. It was fast, like it darted from one tree to the next. I couldn't even process what I was seeing. It wasn't natural. "Get in the RV!" I shouted. My heart was pounding, and the others didn't hesitate. We scrambled back inside, slamming the door shut behind us. But the second we got inside, I made the mistake of looking out the window, and there she was, the woman from the road. She was standing right where we had just been outside. I swear, my heart stopped for a second. It was her, the same woman we hit, no doubt about it. But she wasn't just standing there like before. No, this time she was smiling, a wide, unsettling smile that didn't reach her eyes. She was also wearing the Hmong traditional dress, specifically the one where you put on the dead. And that sound, the high-pitched sound, it was coming from her. Her mouth was slightly open, and the sound was just pouring out, this screeching noise that made my skin crawl. It was like she was staring straight at me through the glass, her eyes locked onto mine. She didn't move, didn't blink, just kept making that awful sound. "Oh my God," Sang whispered, standing next to me. He had seen her too. The others crowded around the window, and we all just stood there frozen, watching this woman smile at us while that horrible noise filled the RV. What do we do?" Jur asked, his voice shaky. I didn't have an answer. None of us did. Suddenly she took a step forward. Just one. But it was enough to snap us out of whatever daze we were in. "Drive! Go! Go!" Tommy yelled, practically shoving me toward the driver's seat. I didn't need to be told twice. I jumped into the seat, fired up the engine, and slammed my foot on the gas. The RV lurched forward, and I glanced in the rearview mirror. She was still standing there watching us, that smile never leaving her face. As I pulled the RV onto the road, that sound followed us. It didn't matter how fast I drove or how far we got from the campsite, it was still there. It felt like it was chasing us, but no matter how much we looked out the windows, we couldn't see anything. It wasn't until we were miles away, driving back towards civilization, that the sound finally faded. The relief was almost immediate, but none of us said anything. What could we even say? We were all thinking the same thing. Whatever we saw, whatever we heard, it wasn't normal, and we definitely didn't want to talk about it. We drove in silence for hours, only stopping once we reached a small gas station on the edge of some town. None of us could sleep that night. We didn't even try. The memory of that woman, the sound, the figure in the woods, it was all too fresh. To this day, we've never talked about that trip. Every time we bring it up, the mood shifts, and someone changes the subject. I haven't been back on the road since, and I don't think I ever will. Something about that night, something about what we saw, it's like it's still out there, waiting. There's no way I'll ever give it the chance to find me again. Thank you for listening to this video. I'll see you in the next one.